All right. Hey.
Hi, guys.
How y'all doing today? I'm Stacy Tyler.
And I'm Tamara Ellis.
And we are coming to you today to talk about pretty much our testimonies. We want to kind of give a little more testimony to how we got to this point. First of all, how me and this one met. Let's give a little bit more testimony to that because I think I said on the last one that I was on my Facebook and I kept kind of going down, and I was like, I kept seeing Tamara and her wig on Facebook, and I've actually never looked at wigs on Facebook. Like, I've never done it because I've always gotten my wigs from the cancer center. So I kept seeing her, and I was like, gosh, why do I keep seeing her? Do I need to get this wig or what? So anyway, so
We
finally,
had no idea.
yeah. And finally, after like probably a week or two of seeing her on Facebook, and this is the truth, I messaged her and I said, hey, I would like to talk to you about your wig. And then I went into kind of giving her a brief little thing about why I needed it. And then she started telling me about, her alopecia. And so what's so cool is when we started talking, she even texted and we was crying. Right?
We were before we even met.
Before we even met, we were texting, we were crying. And we were like, oh my gosh, somebody who understands. And then when we met, it was like magnetic because we finally found somebody who can identify with how this certain thing makes you feel and how, it can be really debilitating in your life. And us, as I feel like we are success stories. I really do, because I feel like the Lord has brought us so far. I really, don't you?
I say all the time, I wouldn't be here without the Lord. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
And, our stories are a little different, but we share the feeling of, how are we going to get through this? Changing. This is someone totally different than we've ever been before, and you have to learn how to live with it. Yeah. So, but he definitely brought us together.
Yeah. I think, like you just said, I think this is what it's about. It's learning to adapt into your new self, because it is a new self.
Right.
It's not the same person that you used to be. You look different. You are different because it's changed you so much. And, but God still uses that testimony. Yeah. I mean, we're the same people, but it changes you, makes you a little different.
You have to learn how to, and, every day we're learning to find the joy. There are a lot of people, and I don't want to offend anyone that has alopecia because we feel ugly but I think that's a stage you go through for sure. And I am so thankful to the people that are living with alopecia that have found that joy and can live happy. We're getting there. We're trying, and that's our goal,
Well, what I loved, Tamara, is that somebody that saw our YouTube, the video on YouTube, she actually had alopecia, remember? And she was saying that we just really inspired her and
hit on some important points that she had thought in her head that you don't always speak about, and it is helpful to talk about it with other people that understand. And we thought this is our second podcast or our second video, and like Stacy was saying, we're going to explore a little more about our personal, more intimate testimony. And today Stacy is going to tell us a little more in depth about her story and about what she's gone through.
And we also, before I get started, me and Tamara were talking about how we want others and other people that have issues like breast cancer or just
breast
anything that the Lord feels like should be seen through this podcast. This is not just about alopecia. Right. We named it that because that's how we came together, because of our alopecia. But we know there's so many more issues in the world that need to be told. Testimonies need to be told. People need to see victory in Jesus through your pain and your hurt.
And we're going to, and I'm glad you mentioned that because, please let everyone know that we have already so many people lined up that want to be a part of this show. Different areas with ITP, with different types of cancers, and we're talking about men as well. We're not going to keep this just for women. We want this to be a show that when you see the Alopecia Sisters for Christ, even though that's our name, oh, I got to turn this on because they're like family. You know, get your blanket, grab your cup of coffee or whatever, and just sit down and talk with us. Even though you may be sitting in your living room, you never know. One day we may be able to have you on the show as well. But that's how we want people to feel. We want people to feel comfortable when they see our show and feel like, you know, family.
Well, and we definitely don't want people to feel sorry for us. We want people to see we have victory in Jesus.
Oh, yeah. We're happy people.
Right.
I mean,
I'm still just happy-go-lucky most of the time. There was times that I was like, and some people are going to be like, she's sickening or something sometimes. I mean, we all can go through our times and depressions.
We're
and
human.
things.
But I think that's the point. We want everybody to know that, you know, people deal with things on the inside and you don't always know. And that's why, you know, it's so good to teach children. You see somebody sitting by themselves in the lunchroom or on the playground, go sit with them and say, hey, buddy, what's going on? You know,
Love
be their friend.
Exactly.
Because you never know what people are going through on the inside. And I think we're talkers. We like to smile. We like to, you know, make the atmosphere happy and funny. And so I think that's a big part of this podcast. We want to encourage people. And, you know, but you can still talk about what you're going through. But ultimately, God got us through. That's why we're here. And you can be happy again. Even if you're in a very low place right now. With God, you can be happy again. And you can share your testimony with others and help them get through it. So I think that's what we're about.
What I think is funny too is she says we're talkers. We were so much talking that we were like, hey, we want to continue talking and not do the podcast.
Yeah, before we start, we're always talking. And even on the phone. Yeah. When we're on the phone, I'm like, we should just stop talking right now and save this for the podcast.
Right. It's funny how like God put us together, and it is so great that He knew exactly the two that would mix together that would be for this.
That's
just
true.
This video.
Because we literally just felt like family and just like we were bonded. Yeah, from the very beginning. Yeah. But you know, I do want you to tell us who you were in the beginning. Before this happened, before any of this started to happen with you, tell us who you were.
Okay. Well, I am first and foremost a worship leader at my church. I have been a worship leader now for going on 8 years, and I was at a church, and then what happened with that is that I developed, because of, I guess it was my menopause and my I guess thyroid or whatever, I had started developing anxiety. Plus, I had a venue that I had started. I had a venue, and it was, you know, it was okay. I mean, you know, it was just kind of getting started, and I was actually pretty busy with that.
A wedding venue.
It was event venue, because I did like showers, venue, yes. And I did, it's kind of like a barn, and you know, I had done showers and parties, and I had done several weddings and mini weddings, and so it was very stressful. The venue was stressful, dealing with family, with weddings, and dealing with the weddings was stressful. And it's something I signed up for. It's not something, I mean, I enjoyed it. I really did. But you also don't realize all that stress, what it does to your body when you're going through menopause, when you're going through thyroid issues, when you're adding a lot of stress onto those things. What happens is it causes your body to go into a craziness. My doctor called it a perfect storm. It caused me to go into a perfect storm. And so it started with a patch of hair here coming off. I noticed first. And then as I got going with my venue and the more I got into it,
are you talking days later or weeks or months later?
I'm talking, it was probably months later after I noticed the first one.
Okay.
The first patch coming out. And probably months later is when I started, me and my husband fixed up the barn that we had on our land, and we started doing the weddings and event venues. So see, all that pressure of everything being on you, just me, mostly just me, was a lot, because you want your business to succeed, and you want it to be. And like I was telling Tamara, that I am a perfectionist, and that for the most part, not in everything, but for the most part, especially about that, I want people to be happy. I'm a people pleaser. I would do anything to please them, and it was very stressful.
And an event coordinator, this may be your job, but every single day is this special occasion for these people that has to be perfect. So
right, exactly, and don't get me wrong, it's what I signed up for, it's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be there for them, and I enjoyed it. I really honestly did enjoy it, but I didn't realize what it was doing to my body. I didn't realize what it was called, the stress was causing me to, and it wasn't really anybody or anything specific. I just think it's, okay, so me and my husband had been fixing up the venue for a couple months. The whole time I'm helping brides and, the families get ready for the weddings that are fixing to be in the barn. So that was stressful. I could tell my hair was kind of falling out, but not bad. The very first wedding that I did, when we opened up the new wedding, because we had other weddings with our barn, but it was not fixed up like it was when we opened up our new wedding venue. The very first wedding, it was so stressful for me. There was so much going on. Not going to go into it because it's not worth, but it was extremely stressful with family and different things. And that night, I was supposed to sing the next day. I was singing at a different church, not the church I was going to, but a different church. And I had to, that night, went to sleep, woke up, 3/4 of my hair was gone. So I knew without a shadow of doubt it was stress. Like,
I've never heard of anyone else that has literally all their hair falls out at once.
3/4 of my hair fell out that very next day after that wedding. And like I said, I went running in because it was all over my pillow and I had no hair on my head. And so I went running in, and I could tell something was wrong because I had a lot of pain in my head. Like, there was so much pain that it was like it seemed like it was at the roots of my head. And that night I couldn't sleep well, and I just was, I just couldn't sleep. I was very restless, and then I finally went to sleep, and when I woke up, like, my hair was all over the place, and I panicked, and I ran in there, and I told my husband, "Oh my gosh, I lost all my hair." And anyway, and so obviously we wanted to go to the emergency room, and I know from working in the emergency room, there's really nothing that they can do. And I know it was because he thought maybe something more was going on, but I knew it wasn't. I mean, I just knew, honestly, I guess just the Lord was telling me it wasn't anything that was going to be able to, I was going to be able to take care of in the emergency room,
Right.
So I called the minister of music at the church I was going to sing to, and I said, "Look, I can't come sing." And at that day, I was going to be like really leading a lot of the music, so I felt so bad, and it was a pretty big church, and I felt so terrible. But I mean, I couldn't go because I had no hair.
Right.
Most of the hair was back here. Had no hair up here. So I mean,
mentally you probably couldn't function.
And I had no wig. And I had no wig because the night before I had hair.
Right.
So there wasn't like I could just go pop on a wig and go. I had no wig.
Right.
And so at this point, I started going into a depression. I had lots of weddings that I was doing, and I, was wearing ball caps because I had a lot of hair back here, but not, up here. So I was wearing ball caps, and I was trying to hide it. And then finally I had to break down and get me a wig. And so, the rest of my weddings, I was wearing my wig. And when I went to the doctor, the one that told me that I had a perfect storm, he said, "If you don't quit doing what you're doing, you're going to be in more trouble physically if you don't stop." So I knew that I had to. So by this point, I had already quit singing at church because I was having so much anxiety. And when I got up, I was having chest pains. So it just continued to get worse for me. I tried to get up and sing. And when I would try to get up and sing, I would have anxiety attacks. I mean, you can't function like that. Like you can't put your church through that. Like every Sunday, am I going to have an anxiety attack? You know,
you definitely wouldn't want to get up on stage in front of all these people and not knowing. You know.
And you don't want to put your church through that. You don't want to, like, that's kind of like everybody was like, oh my gosh, you know. I mean, it's just like I couldn't do it. And so I quit church completely for a little bit. Like, I just felt like if, you know, because I was the worship leader, I had to step down because I just could not do it because of the anxiety. So then I was still working. I was the sub at my son's school. I was doing that. Not much, like maybe once, maybe twice a week, but I was sticking with that because, like I said, I was helped with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Me and one of the coaches started the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, the chapter there. So I knew that the Lord wanted me to continue that because it was it was pretty successful. There was a lot of kids, love the kids. The kids were so great. They were so excited about it. And I knew it was something that I needed to do. So I continued with that. And then that kind of like, not quite sure what all happened, but you know, that kind of, I knew that I felt like it was at a position to where I could kind of step down because I needed to go back to work and do what I felt like the Lord wanted me to do. And that was taking care of people, which is what I've done my whole career. Is I've been a medical assistant and plus I've been, you know, taking care of patients in their homes and things like that. So that is what I do. That's what I've been doing pretty much ever since.
That's really a gift and a blessing because...
Yeah, and I've been doing that ever since, and it's been a safe haven for me, especially my little sweet lady that I have now. She's like my little best friend. We call each other best friends all the time. Aww. I just adore her. She's just the most amazing. And you know, the thing with her is she's so sweet and kind. And she's had so much happen to her. Like she's been a force for me in kind of waking up and seeing, and things could be worse for me. Like, because she had a stroke. She can't do anything for herself. And this is a woman that was very independent, like me and you. And so, and I've known her my whole life. So, and this woman every single day is so inspirational and so sweet and kind and loving. And just like I tell her all the time, she's my best friend. You know, I love her so much. And that is kind of what type of person I am. Like if I meet you, I love you pretty much right away, unless you do something and then that falls off. But I'm just a very loving person. The Lord made me that way. And I know that it was him because I didn't grow up in a situation that should have made me a loving person. I had a pretty, you know, kind of hard childhood. And I won't go into that maybe another time, but I don't think I'll ever go into that because that's just my past. But I do think your past forms you and molds you who you are. And
I've always a lot to do with it.
Yeah. But my mom told me that I was always a friendly person, a child. Like my brother would say, like, oh my gosh, Mom, she's gonna just go up to everybody, you know. And so I was always a people person, so that was always instilled in me. And but anyway, so after, you know, the whole fellowship, I stepped down from there, and then I started taking care of my patients, and I just knew I was so angry. I was so angry at everything, like everything. Oh my goodness, like I would just be, I just was so mad at the world because I felt like, why has this happened to me? And so I decided that
that's normal.
Yeah. So I needed a cleansing, like, so I went to a, I guess it was like a conference, like a women's conference and it was kind of like a cleansing for me. It was a cleansing, like healing thing for me at this conference because that was pretty much what it was about and how I felt. And I'm telling you, after that conference and just watching those women being prayed for and just watching these women who have been through so much, and especially the conference leaders' testimony was so powerful. I mean, it just changed me. It changed me. It really did. It was very cleansing for me, and God really did a work in my life through it. And I mean, I'm still a work in progress, but the Lord has really got me back on track as far as, I'm singing again. I'm worship leader at a church again with my sister and her husband. And, it's getting started, and it's so great. And I'm so thankful that the Lord put me there. I honestly don't know why I'm worship leader, except that it is Jesus and the reason that it is God, because honestly, I've never been to school for music. I don't know how to play an instrument or nothing. Like, I've tried, but I just know how to sing. But for some reason, as soon as I gave my life to the Lord completely 8 years ago, like not even 3 months later, I became a worship leader at my church. Like, I've been a Christian since I was 16, but not like sold out everything until about 8 years ago. And that was when my life really changed. I just completely decided one day that was it. I'm not living like this no more. I'm not halfway in, halfway out, not one more minute. I am sold out for Jesus, and that's how that's going to be for me in my life. And I'm telling you, the Lord brought me some, like I was worship leader, like I was, subbing at my son's school, like I was, I had a venue, like God really did a work in my life.
I think this is why testimonies are so important, because it really helps people understand that when you decide, we could go on forever on God, but when you really decide to live your life for God,
He can take you places you don't even think.
That relationship with, because I know for years, and I don't want to get off topic, but I know for years I always considered myself a Christian, and but until I really started living for God and putting God first, He's the only reason we're here. Our whole journey on this earth is to bring hearts and souls to Jesus, to God, before He comes back. Right. But I won't get going on that. But I think testimonies are important because it really helps people relate and gives them hope.
Right. Right.
Well,
and I've found so much hope in just the ladies at my church, and you and I know that your testimony and testimonies of other women have helped me so much. Like the testimony of that, when I went to that conference, of that, the leader of the conference, her testimony was phenomenal. It was such a cleansing weekend for me, because it was like a whole
That's wonderful.
week. Yeah, and after that, the Lord really changed me and made me see things different, and really let go of being mad at Him. Really, I didn't know I was mad at Him, to be honest with you. I found out that weekend.
You just had anger inside of you.
I was mad at Him for why did you do this to me, Lord? We've had this, the past 8 years, or 7 years at the time, we've been like, going in this life together, and but the thing is sometimes when you're a big voice for God, and when you're, because I was doing the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and when you're in different things, but when you're doing things for God, you're going to be a target. You're going to be a target. So we have to, like me and Tamara were talking about earlier, you have to have that full armor of God on every single day, because if you don't, you are going to be attacked, because Satan hates your testimony. He hates the words that could help others that are going through the same thing. He hates it. And he doesn't want another life being saved by the word of a testimony of Jesus Christ and what He can do for you. And so just remember that as you're going through trials, as you're going through these things, that obviously you're doing something right. You're doing something right, because Satan leaves the people alone that are, lukewarm or, living for him.
Right.
I mean, he has them. He's coming after us.
Right.
You know?
And we never gain wisdom. Everyone has to go through struggles and trials, and but I think what's so interesting is when you do go through these struggles, you learn so much. You learn, if you always had all the money in the world, and then all of a sudden you had nothing, you'd be lost. But if you struggled through the years and then you had money, you would realize, you know, I mean, I'm just saying you learn from all of your experiences. And so we have to turn these struggles into blessings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have to find the good in these struggles. And in our case, from what we've dealt with, I've definitely found blessings. I've met women all over the world with breast cancer, mastectomy, breast implant illness, and now alopecia. I mean, and they're pretty all horrible things. But the blessings that I have found talking to other people that have dealt with this and family members, and then when you hear about struggles that other people are going through, I can still stand up and walk.
Right.
I can still get up in the morning on my own. It's a struggle sometimes with you know, had back surgery, and I could go on and on, but this is not about me. But I'm just saying, I think the testimonies are so important.
It actually is about you, but I'm sorry, my hands are cold.
Well, no, today is about you and your testimony, and I think it's very important that people hear. And then also here on the bright side, yes, we've struggled. Yes, we went through so much, but we still have a smile on our face. God woke us up this morning. We still have loved ones in our life. We have so much to be thankful for. And so that's why we've decided to do these individual testimonies, in case anyone's wondering.
Well, I know that one thing I kind of left out was the 8 months of depression that I was in.
Yeah.
And I didn't even say that, but in the 8 months of depression, that I was like literally filled with anxiety and fear of going out. I mean, but it's funny how the Lord brought me out of it. One, I had a real bad car accident, and that car accident really woke me up because it caused me to go into a spiral of, oh my gosh, you know, this is, I mean.
Was this prior or after?
No, this was after I lost all my hair. Like, this was probably actually about 8 months after I lost all my hair. I got in a bad car accident, which it was my fault. But you know, I needed something to get me out of my stupor because I was in such a mess. I was in such a stupor that I could not get myself out of it. And I also just really doubled down into that fear, and I really doubled down into not wanting to see people. And I was so isolated because I lived in Walterboro, and all my ministries was here in Somerville. All my family's here in Somerville. So I was really isolated out there. And you know, I think that the accident and just also, you know, almost losing my home financially because of I wasn't doing what I needed to do because I was so, you know, bogged down in my depression that I wasn't doing what my job is. You know, as a woman, I always paid the bills. I always did everything, and I hadn't been doing that. So, you know, we almost lost our home, and, you know, but praise God we didn't. I mean, we got back up, you know, as soon as I got this letter, and I was almost 3 months behind on our house payment. I got the letter, and as soon as I got the letter, I immediately was like, okay. God was like, boom, enough is enough. You got to wake up and you got to get out of this. So I got up and I went to the doctor. The doctor told me to stop doing what I was doing because of the, you know, all of my hair loss and anxiety and depression and stuff, and that it could literally kill me. And so I decided to do what I always have done, and that was to go back as a caregiver and take care of people. And that has been, and I know it's the Lord because it's brought me so far now. Like, God has blessed me so much through caregiving. And thank gosh that the Lord has really, you know, brought me back to Him in more of a way of even better relationship with Him, because now I am completely and fully reliant on Him. And I know that my God is good. And I know that He did not do this to me. I know that this is just part of my testimony. That this is something that's going to help people. And it's going to, you know.
And speaking of that, so Stacy called me and she said, you know, when we do our next video, we need to take our wigs off. And for her and I, and maybe some of you out there, you know, we can sit here and smile and, but like Matt tells me, he tells me he still sees the same person that he always has seen.
Tommy does too.
But he also says when you take your wig off, your confidence goes away and your face changes. And I believe that because as soon as I take the hair off, and I'm sure you're the same way, I just want to go get in bed, put my covers up, and just stay away from the world. But we have decided that's what this is all about. We were brought together through alopecia, and we want to be a blessing. We want to turn this into a blessing.
And transparent.
You know. So we have got to do this. And it's hard for us to do. So we don't want to be seen uncomfortable like this. But this is who we are now.
Well, you know, the funny thing is I don't know if you and your husband have, but me and my husband have a little funny thing. He calls me his little monkey. And the reason why is because I got you know how when you see a little baby monkey and they have like little hairs like that? And that's kind of what the little hairs look like right here, little baby monkey hair. So I call myself, I feel like, remember the song Sheena Was a Man? But Tone Loc, I believe it was. I feel like when I take my hair off and then my eyelashes or my eyebrows and wipe on my, I feel like a Bob or a Mike or Vin Diesel or something.
I feel like a guy. So
me too.
But with eyebrows, I try to at least put on eyebrows.
Me too.
Around the house because I feel more like a woman. You know, but I guess we need to do it.
Okay, you ready?
And I will tell you. Okay, so the glue affects my head, and so I have a sore spot on my head from the glue. I don't have any glue on today because we're going to do this, but anyway, just want to warn you, I have a little owie up here.
Well, for me, I don't use the glue, which I probably should. This is why we all need this one right here because she's so good at like the makeup and the hair and everything. I'm just popping things on and going, you know?
I've had to try it all. You know? I have experimented with everything. And
I've looked in the mirror, my hair was this way and that way.
Oh, I know. I had my grandbabies. They're like, you know, can I pull your hair off? Here in public, wait till we get home.
Right. Well, I never forget one time I was at my youngest son's baseball game and my grandson leaned on my hair. My hair kind of came back a little bit and I'm like, that's like your worst fear is to think about that hair coming off in front of hundreds of people.
I have that story. My oldest grandson, about 2 years ago, we were at an Airbnb and we had told him it's time to get out of the pool now. We had to go back to the Airbnb. And I had a wig on and I had just put like this dress thing on over my swimming suit and look over at him. And at the time he couldn't swim yet. He still had his little floaties on. He had taken his floaties off. And I look up at him and he was back in the water and he was going. There were people all around him and he couldn't get the words out. And I'm thinking, my grandchild is drowning.
Right.
So what do? I dive in the pool. Didn't give a crud about that wig, but it did not stay on my head. And in front of all the people at the pool, my wig flew off.
It's gone, right? Yeah.
So that was, but he was okay. So, all right, well.
Ready?
No,
me either.
But I know we have to do it.
Yes.
I guess we'll just do it.
Okay, here we go. It's me. It's still Stacy. It's still Tamara. We have little tiny heads, but we're still who we are. So I hope that us being transparent today lets you know that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. That is one of my favorite. That's one of my. Oh no, that's one of my favorite verses. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And you're beautiful, by the way. It actually makes me want to cry because I know it takes a lot of,
It's really hard for us.
Yeah.
You know what I feel like looking in the screen? I feel like one of those cone heads that used to be on TV, the Conehead family.
And my head's so white. Like, I mean, my head is so white. And you have a, I feel like I have a small head, but I think you have a smaller head than me.
Well, it's pretty tiny. Every wig I get, I have to I feel like a surgeon
Right.
because as soon as I used to make them, now my hands, I deal with the needle flying across the room. I can't hold the needle, the curved needle in my fingers.
Mm-hmm.
But I always still have to, when I get a wig, I have to turn it upside down, put it on my canvas head, cut it into pieces. Excuse me, and I feel like a surgeon because it's very nerve-wracking when you just spend all this money on a wig and you have to cut it apart the first day you have it because otherwise I can't wear it.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom of it will come way down here,
Mm-hmm.
or if I put it where it's supposed to be, it'll be sticking up.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to cut it apart, cut it, and then sew it back together to make it fit. That's like I've done to this one here.
Yeah.
But
you have a beautiful head.
well, thank you. Well, so
Yeah.
do you.
Thank you.
Yours is
See my
round,
monkey
too.
hair?
Well, at least
Let's see.
you do have some up there.
I had a lot back here, but now it's kind of fallen out a lot. So it's still some, but not as much as it was.
Yeah.
But I have like at my little peak. See my little monkey hair? My husband calls me his little monkey. But anyway, so it is what it is. If I get my hair back, great. If I don't, then
I prefer to get it back.
Me too.
Honestly,
Me too.
I mean,
Me
just I feel like when you go out in public, I have had, and I'm sure you have too. I'm 6 years now being bald,
mm-hmm.
and I not only do you have people stare, which is fine, children, and I would never get mad at a child because they're children, they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't tell you how many times I've had people come up to me and say, "You hang in there. My wife's going through the same
me
thing."
too.
I'm like,
That's
well,
why
I did have breast cancer, but I'm good now.
And see, I've never had cancer, so it
Yeah.
literally like drives me crazy. Like I'm like, I don't have cancer, I don't have it, and so that's why I mostly wear wigs or I wear a hat or toboggan or something, just because I don't want people to feel bad for me because first of all, I don't have cancer.
Right.
I'm not dying, and it is something that's treatable. I mean, not treatable. I may always have alopecia.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but it is something you can live with. Obviously, I mean, and thank God they do have wigs, and thank God we can draw on our things, and thank God there is things that can make us feel pretty at times when we need to.
There's honestly, since this has happened to me, we're both research queens, and if I don't know about something, I'm going to figure it out. Google every possible thing I can find on the subject, and then put my own information together. But I will tell you that the majority of the people you see in life, especially on TV, have some type of helper hair, whether it be extensions, wigs.
That's very true.
I mean, there's toppers, there's all kinds because
so many people, like I've even had a friend tell me that she pulls her hair out. Like I've had I've had so many people tell me since I've had this, oh my gosh, this is thank you, and this has happened to me, and this has happened to me, and just a lot of things that people don't have hair because
I meet people all the time, but it's not something when you go to work or when you go into school or wherever you may go. People aren't going to just whip their wig off and say, "Look, I'm bald," or "Look, my hair's thinning or falling out." But when you meet someone, and I too, I couldn't even tell you. I've met women all over, literally in other countries, everywhere, that are living with some type of alopecia or related to stress, breast implant illness. Not that it's not to make light of it, but most of the time when you have chemo, your hair will come back. It does fall out, and it is devastating. But with alopecia, most of the time it doesn't come back. So we've got to learn to live with it forever, but there's a lot of people that, because of the chemicals in our food, because, like I said, because of stress, because of autoimmune disease. I mean, there's just so many reasons why women especially, but men too, are losing their hair. And hopefully during this podcast, we can cover a lot of topics to help, because I think a lot of people, they just don't want to talk about certain things in public.
I'd also love to see like other women in alopecia what they think caused their alopecia.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Mine was stress. Yours was an implant illness.
Excuse me.
So what did they feel like really? Because there's usually a cause. Like mine was onset. Like I said, the doctor said a perfect storm. The stress, the menopause, and the thyroid all caused me to go into caused me to go into the autoimmune disease, which is alopecia.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
And we'll talk about this on another segment as well, but you know, for me, my hair started falling out back in 2005. Excuse me. When I was diagnosed, but then it stopped. I did have a bilateral mastectomy. We'll go into that later, but the implants, what people do not realize, the implants, I've had so many people say, oh, you must have had saline. No, I mean, you must have had silicone. No, I had saline. And I have my implants at home and they're in perfect condition. But the outer shell is still silicone. And the second you put those in your body, that silicone is leaking heavy metals and toxins into your body from that moment. And we'll talk about the, you know, I don't want to go into it a whole lot now, but when you have them removed, you have to make sure they take the entire capsule, which is a scar tissue pocket that forms around that breast implant, because if they cut through that scar tissue pocket, which is called a capsule, all those chemicals are going to stay in there. Or that if your breast implant has leaked, it's going to. But I think when you were saying about what has caused it, it's I really believe a big part of it is chemicals in our body. We don't eat near as healthy as most other countries
do. That's so true. And I've actually have foreign exchange students, and they tell me that. Like, first of all, they tell me we don't eat good. The first when they come here, they're like, y'all don't eat good. Yeah. Then they say, y'all's food is bad. Like, a lot of y'all's food that is here is banned in our country. Yeah. And so, just coming from knowing people from other countries, which they see me, hey, love y'all. I love y'all, every one of you. Constantine, Bastian, Henry, Leon, Marlena, Angie, I love y'all, miss y'all. So my little sweet German families, you know. But I you know, it's definitely been a journey, and I feel good taking it off. I don't know why, but I feel kind of fine. Like,
it's like empowering when you.
It is, isn't it? It feels so like I feel great. Like I feel, I don't know. Like this podcast, me and Tamara were talking about, like we had such weight come off of us. You know, when we did it, so we felt like, and I had another friend tell me that was because it was on you to do the podcast and to get your testimony out. And when you did it, that weight came off.
Yeah. You know? I mean, I do feel good right now. And it's funny because I tried to do, you know, everyone said that I should have started TikTok a long time ago when TikToks first started, and do podcasts and things. And I would try to start, and then I just don't want to be around people. Right. I would go back into my shell. Yeah. But having, when Stacy suggested and asked me to do a podcast with her, I was like, I think I could do it with you. Yeah. We could do it together.
That's so wild that you say that, because when I first had my alopecia, that's how I felt all the time. Like, I just do not want to be around people. Like, I don't feel like being judged. Like, I don't feel like asking the questions or answer the questions. I don't feel like
want to be invisible.
Right. This is all the things that were going through my head, and nobody could understand, and I couldn't articulate it because it was all so new to me. You know, I just could not articulate it at all because I just like I said, it was so new, and I didn't even know what was going on with
me. And you know, we didn't know each other when we had hair, and I had thick, huge 80s hair. Me too. Always. And people really knew me by my hair. I know there was, like, my kids' friends would say, oh, your mom's here. I can see her hair across the parking lot, for all the kids that knew. Yeah. But so this is, you know, as a woman, your hair is your identity. I used to love fixing my hair, and I didn't love my hair. It's funny because it was natural curly, and I always wanted straight hair.
I had natural curly hair too.
See, I think But don't a lot of
right.
people always want what they don't have?
Oh, sure.
And
But
then
I would
when-
always straighten my hair, so.
Yeah, me too. And then I noticed that I'm always trying to make a wig look exactly like my old
Me
hair.
too.
That was curly.
Me
Because
too.
you want to just
Me
feel
too.
like yourself again.
Yeah, yeah.
And yes, it is. You can wear any color. There's some fun. As you see, I have a purple tone today. I told her, I'm sorry, I wore the red because Valentine's Day is this weekend. But I put a toner on this hair because it was really brassy and it turned out purple. So I
told her
wear
it
red
was
and purple today.
I told her it was royalty because red and purple is royalty.
Okay, that'll work. That'll work.
So, well, with that, do you think we should wrap up, or
Absolutely.
do you feel like you have much more to say?
Oh, no. I mean, are you done with sharing
Yes,
all
I feel
of
like I'm done. I feel like for now, I feel like that's, pretty much my testimony from here. I'm sure that, God will give us more here and there as we go. But for now, tune into next time, because next time it's going to be Tamara's, I want to call you Tamara for some reason.
Oh, that's okay.
But Tamara, but I love Tamara. I actually like Tamara. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's going to be her testimony, and through her, not just her alopecia, but
Maybe a little long.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can condense it down. But it's important to talk about the little issues that people don't, like just the things that we haven't talked about a lot too, that we can talk about later about, just things that you deal with no eyelashes or no hair in your nose or no hair in your ears. All those things, God put those there for a reason.
Okay, I do want to ask Tamara something.
Ask
this
me.
is so wild, and I want to see, because I've been meaning to ask you this, and I haven't asked you this, but when you cry, does your tears go in?
Well, you had mentioned something about, no, when I cry, my tears come out.
Do they? Mine go in.
Yeah,
They come out in the nose. And that's only happened since I had, since I lost all my hair. Yeah.
No, that is different because my tears still come out of my face.
Now, I will have tears. If I'm boo-hooing, now I still will have tears coming out. But if I'm just like, just really moved and the tears come up, they always go back in. It's really
That
wild.
is very odd.
Yeah.
Because
I thought
now
so too.
I know this probably, if you don't suffer with alopecia, this is going to sound weird to you, but do you have hair in your nose now?
No.
See, you still don't.
No.
I don't. Nothing makes sense about my body. I do have hair in my nose now.
Do you?
But I know when I didn't, every shower I had to be so careful because I was choking. A little tiny bead of water would get in my nose and go straight down the wrong way. And I would choke all the time. So do you still have to deal with that if water gets in your nose?
I'll be honest with you, I've never dealt with that.
Really?
Even though I don't have, hey, isn't it funny how it does
Things are so
different
different.
things for people? Yeah, I've never had that problem ever.
Well, that's good.
But I will be honest with you, I take a lot of baths, so that might be.
Oh,
I do take
a bath
showers
every night. Epsom salt and
Yeah,
baking soda. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I do take a lot of baths, but I do take showers. But it's never really happened to me. So.
Well, that's good. Maybe it's because, just our bodies are different, our noses are made different and everything. But that was something I really dealt with. But that came back.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why. There's weird things. But I hope you guys did, are getting something out of this.
Yes,
I hope
so too.
we're enjoying it.
Yes, I wanted to read something, if y'all don't mind. One thing is my daily devotion, and I wanted to read. Let's see. Gosh, I hope I can see this without. I may not. Let me get my glasses really quick. Which is really going to be something because I need somebody to see me with glasses on when I don't have my hair on. So because
that's okay. This is a day of.
I really feel
coming
like
out.
I really feel like an old man when I put these on without.
I know.
But hey, it is what it is.
That's right.
So this is February 12th. February 12th.
Yes.
I know it's hard to believe. Like this year is going by so fast.
It really is.
And I wanted to read my February 12th. Rest in Jesus. Protect me from the harm. Keep an eye on me as you would a child who is reflected in the twinkling of your eye. Yes, hide me within the shelter of your embrace, under your outreach wing. Psalms 1, what does that say? Can you see that? 178. Is it
Up there. Boy, that is tiny
Yeah.
and light.
Yeah.
Psalm 17:8.
Okay. Yes, Psalm 17:8. Have you ever been awake when you think no one else is? Maybe you had an early morning flight and you feel you are the only person who could possibly be stirring at the house in that hour. It feels kind of magical, doesn't it? It's like you have an unshared secret, regardless of you being the night owl, morning person, or somewhere in between. There's a peace that comes with meeting Jesus in a secret place when your world has stopped for a bit. Whenever it looks like, rising early or staying up late, taking a work break, a study break, or a mommy break, finding that quiet and where you can actually acquire strength. We need that spiritual food to conquer each day. Can you find a daily quiet time to meet with Jesus? He will meet you in that space, filling you with peace, strength, and love to go out and conquer the world. And I think that our safe place, I have a closet that I go into, and that's where I meet Jesus. But I think right now is starting to be a new safe place for me and Tamara. Like, this is starting to be a new safe place that we can tell our testimony, and we can tell of the love of Jesus, and we can help others, and people who come on and are given their testimonies can help others as well.
Yeah.
Would you like to lead us out?
I was going to say, let's end in prayer.
Yeah.
Father, we thank you so much for this opportunity, and we ask, Lord, that you help us to bless others, and that we are doing this for you, Father, and so that others may be given hope and light that they need in their life, Father. And we just thank you so much for always standing beside us and forgiving us, even though we don't deserve it and we sin every day, Father. You sent your Son so that we could be forgiven, and we are so thankful for your undying, your unfaithful love, Lord. Yes. And we just ask that you be with everyone that is watching this program and touch their lives, dear God. Let them feel your presence around them. And we thank you for this opportunity that Stacy and I have. In your sweet and precious name, Lord, be with us every moment.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank
y'all
you.
Have a blessed day. We love y'all. See you next time.